will come to order, and we'd like to welcome all present. Anyone wishing to speak to any of the application, please indicate so. First, I'd like to introduce the staff. To my left over here is Olivia Hall. She's our environmental and compliance officer, and Bill Farrell, he's with us. Jay Woodward from VMRC. There's Crystal Way over to my left, and
Glen Rowe.
Glenn Rowe to my left. Glenn will let me know if it's anyone coming in on to speak. To my left over here is Will Tolles, Cecil Little, Bruce Julian, Andy Ransom, and I'm Edna Revere, and we have an alternate member in the audience, Haphad. With that, is there anyone here to represent this application of Chiraco? I guess Craig's probably still sick. Oh, no, he is. There he is.
Did you want to read the ad? Anna, did you want to read the ad?
Oh, yes, I do, but I was waiting for him to state his name for the record.
Craig Paladinsky with Bayshore Design. I'm the agent representing this request.
Okay, I'd like to read the ad. Joseph Chiraco and, is it Sarah? Chiraco requests permission to refurbish 70 feet of his existing riprap and timber groin with armor stone, construct 3 low-profile vinyl groins, length 24, 30, and 24, construct a 36-foot riprap spur adjacent to the sand spit, construct a total of 317 feet, 78, 65, and 174 feet sections of riprap revetment, and construct a 22 riprap sill adjacent to the existing pocket marsh along the shoreline of Annapoison Creek, located off Virginia State Highway 642, Little Bay Road, on Clark Point Drive, tax map number 36-1, VMRC number 22-2402. Go ahead, Mr. Palubansky.
Okay, I'll just give you a brief overview of the project. I'm going to start behind the house. We're meeting up with an existing riprap revetment at their pier right behind their house, proposing a total of 239 feet of riprap along that section behind the house and the cove. The existing bulkhead is old. It's got some holes in it. You can see where the yard is kind of washing out behind the wall. So what we're proposing here is just to riprap to the top of the wall, encase the existing bulkhead using Class A1 stone, bringing it up to about a height of about +3 to 3.5 feet mean low water. They have a lot of mature trees along the edge of the yard there, close to the bulkhead. The house sits close to the bulkhead, so we felt, encasing the bulkhead with riprap is the correct solution here to the shoreline stabilization. Excuse me. As we continue on up the cove behind the pool, there's a small pocket marsh. You can see highlighted green. We're proposing a 22-foot riprap sill out in front of that little pocket marsh, just to help hold that corner, and then continue with riprap where it's highlighted yellow by section D. That's 65 feet of riprap there, again, coming to the top of the wall. You have 2 fairly large pine trees right close to that bulkhead, which they want to keep, and also the pool and the pool apron are right close to the bulkhead, so it really wasn't feasible to try to incorporate a living shoreline in this part of the shoreline stabilization. As we work our way to section B, we're proposing a 36-foot riprap spur. You have a sand spit feature there that we want to stabilize. It's continuing to migrate eastward up the cove and also northward, continue to grow. So what we want to do is do the sill out on the west side of that spit feature, just to keep it from migrating further up the cove. As you can see on that slip by where my section D arrow is located, that slip is already unnavigable. It can't get out of that slip. So we just want to stop this spit from migrating up into the cove and just stabilizing it by putting in that 36-foot riprap spur. As we continue south, we're proposing another 78-foot of riprap revetment. That's highlighted blue. Again, that's just going in front of a bulkhead up to the top of the wall. The wall there is a little bit higher. It's plus 3.5 feet mean low water. We're going to go to the top of the wall. And then we're also proposing 3 low-profile vinyl groins. There's sand movement, obviously coming in from Little Bay, deflecting off that bulkhead, helping feed that sand spit feature. So the proposed groins are relatively short, 24 to 30 feet in length, just carrying us out to about the 2-foot depth contour at low tide, then it drops off pretty quick. But we're proposing the groins to help try to build up some sand in front of that section of bulkhead and riprap, and also slow some of the migration down, coming in, feeding that sand spit feature. And then as we head out towards the end of Poison Creek, the mouth of the cove, there's an existing timber rock groin. We're going to cap that with armor stone basically on the east side of the groin, where it's all starting to collapse. Timber groin is collapsed. So we're going to cap that with armor stone. Total of 70 feet in length. And that groin will be about plus 3 feet in low water. Help keep some of that sand from coming back around into the cove and help build up some more beach in that little pocket area to the south. I'm sorry that was quick, but I'll be happy to answer any questions you have.
Open to the board.
No questions. No questions.
Livia,
No comments from
Bill?
us.
Jay,
There's portions of this project that requires our permit as well, but I don't have any other comment.
does anyone in the audience wish to speak to this? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Move that the project be approved as presented.
Second,
Second.
all in favor, signify by raising your right hand. Okay.
Thank you.
Approved. Thank you. Next on the agenda is the application of Mr. Blankenship. Someone here representing him? State your name for the record, please.
Otis Cockrell with Eco Construction.
Okay, I'd like to read the ad, please. Mr. John Blankenship and Kara Otis Cockrell is requesting permission to remove 94 linear feet of failing bulkhead and replace with 94 feet of riprap revetment. Armor existing bulkhead with 135 feet of riprap revetment and install 112 feet marsh seal for a living shoreline along the shoreline of Carter Creek, located off Virginia State Highway 200 on Irvington Road. Map on Irvington Road, tax map 34-94C, VMRC number 22-2403. Go ahead, Mr. Copper.
I think the project's pretty self-explanatory. The bulkhead's failing, and we would have a hard time removing that and putting it back in the same place. Found riprap to be the best solution, and he just wanted to create like a living shoreline and enhance that marsh area where that spit's eroding away. So that's why the sill there and the marsh grass to be planted, and then the bulkhead. Other bulkhead has riprap now, but it's not much. It's kind of settled. Basically, it's going to bring that back up to like it should be.
Anyone on the board?
No questions.
No question.
Livia?
Nothing for me.
Ron?
No, ma'am.
Jay?
Again, there's portions of this project that are on subaqueous bottom that need VMRC permit as well, but I don't have any other comment.
Do I hear a motion? Oh, wait a minute. Is anyone in the audience wishing to speak to it?
We're online.
Said no.
We online? Huh?
No one.
No.
Oh, I thought you said we are online. I was waiting for you to, get me to go ahead. Okay, then do I hear a motion?
Yeah, I'll move to approve the project as submitted.
Second.
All in favor, signify by raising your right hand. Okay, fine.
Thank y'all.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is a permit for Mr. Barnes. And it, Olivia, would you like to speak to this before we?
Sure, this is an after-the-fact permit of 61 feet of riprap revetment per Lancaster County Circuit Court Judge's order. So we have a court order. VIM's weighed in that the area where the riprap is placed is jurisdictional beach, so we've got an email from them, you can see it on the screen, just stating such. So we are here to permit this work after the fact.
Do I hear from the board on this?
We're going to have the representative speak.
Do you wanna
I'm
read the
sorry.
ad
I'm
and-
sorry, getting ahead of myself here.
Good morning, Roger McKinley,
Okay.
691 Mill Point Drive, Eastville, Virginia. And I'm here representing Mr. and Mrs. Barnes and Mr. and Mrs. Suda Sundar, who are
Okay.
also property owners out beyond where this right-of-way and riprap structure is located.
Lydia? Excuse me a minute.
Yes,
Do you want this read?
if you would like to, yes.
Okay. Rennie and Lena Barnes, care Roger McKinley. They're requesting permission for an after-the-fact permit for 61 feet of riprap revetment per Lancaster Circuit Court order along the shoreline of Chesapeake Bay, located off Virginia State Highway 647, Ball Eagle Road, tax map number 35A, 21A, VMRC number 22-1244. Go ahead.
Yes, we started this project back in May, and there have been several iterations since then. There have been some additional applications submitted by an adjacent property owner, and I think Joey Scott was representing them, and there have been a couple of attempts in the meantime to try to come up with a compromise, and that proved to not be possible. So this case went to circuit court, and the court found in favor of the Barnes and the Sundars and gave us permission to construct a armor stone revetment, which was an extension of an already existing armor stone revetment, in order to protect the entrance to the applicant's property. So we, based on that court order, we went ahead and constructed the extension, which was 17 feet on one part, built a set of steps there, which I'm sure you all saw going through the armor stone. Right there is a good picture of the framing. And that was to allow the adjacent property owner access to her beach. And so that's where we are now. At one point in time, there was a request by VMRC for us to submit a new application after the fact, because it was on beaches and dunes area, which falls into your jurisdiction. So we went ahead and revised the application an additional time, which you see there, to pick up the new revetment that ties into an existing stone groin on the south side of a 50-foot right-of-way. And that's where we are today.
Do you have anything else you?
No, just that VIM's weighed in.
No one's on Zoom? Okay.
Nope.
Um,
Jay?
Jay, do you have anything?
As installed, it's landward of the mean low water line, so it did not require a permit from VMRC. And I'm not gonna go into all the legal history of this, but, I think at this point in time, I haven't heard from any of the parties, so I'm assuming that this resolves everybody's concerns, and I'm keeping my fingers crossed.
Okay. Board?
No questions.
Anybody on the board? Okay, how about in the audience? Okay, with no further questioning, do I have a motion, please?
I'll make a motion. Make a motion to align with the order of Judge R. Michael McKinney, Circuit Court of Lancaster County, case number CL 22-223, issued the 4th day of October. Therefore, upon direction from the VMRC's Attorney General Representative, Jamie Green Commissioner, Randy Owen, Chief Habitat Management Division, as transmitted by email from Jay Woodward, Environmental Engineer, dated October 14th, 2022, sent to Don Gill County Administrator, grant an after-the-fact permit.
There a second?
A second.
Okay, all in favor, signify by raising your right hand. Okay, thank you.
Thank you all very much.
Okay. Well, thank you all for that. Okay, the next in line is stay the course.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Joseph Scott, P.O. Box 315, Kilmarnock, Virginia, 22482. I'm the agent for the applicant.
Okay. Stay the course, represented by Joey Scott. He's requesting permission to add 44 feet by 80 feet of pier channel to existing private pier to create a 50 feet by 80-foot commercial pier overall. Install 3 new commercial piers, 12 by 60 feet, 12 by 200, and 30 by 80. Removing existing concrete boat ramp, 30 by 40, and replace with concrete boat ramp, 30 by 64, and construct 172 feet of vinyl bulkhead located along Hoppers Creek and Annapoison Creek, located off Virginia State Highway 0695 Windmill Point Road on Hoppers Creek Drive, tax map number 35-225 and 35-225A. VMRC number 22-2499. Go ahead.
Yes, so I'll go ahead and give you guys this. I'm going to submit it later this morning. I should wait till I get back to the mic. It's just a revision of the impact numbers. The way the JPA is set out, the appendix doesn't really give you an area for all of this stuff. So I just went ahead and broke it down into what impacted, which structure impacted which section of shore, whether it's vegetated, non-vegetated, or subaqueous. The ramp has already been impacted. It's there, it exists. In the world that I exist in, I don't consider that an impact because it's already been impacted. So I didn't include that in the numbers. But I did include the numbers for non-vegetated impacts for the piers. Now, when I say impacts, it's an open pile structure that goes over top of these areas, so it's not, and I can be corrected at any moment if I'm speaking incorrectly. It's not fill impact, it's just coverage. So there was, in doing that, we found that there's about 200 square feet of wetlands vegetation that the piers will go over top of. And that is mostly in line with the piers that you have on the screen right there. There is a small section on that pier to the north. I'm sorry, there's a larger section on that pier to the north of the 30-foot wide pier, and then there's a smaller section on the pier to the south, the 50-foot wide pier. The bulkhead has been staked out of the jurisdiction, as has been confirmed by the county, and also the BIMS report acknowledges that, because there was a BIMS report on this particular site. And the goal is to, build these structures so that it can be a usable commercial waterfront, given the existing site constraints. We are currently talking with VMRC in terms of the size of everything and what's needed and what's not needed. But at the end of the day, when you compare this site to existing sites, a lot of the existing sites, like if you're on that, well, this picture too, a lot of the sites there, Pride of Virginia already has an existing area over the water that has a covered pier processing area. If you go down the creek a little ways, you have the Herring House. That's not visible on here, but a lot of these older sites were filled. They didn't pier out to the depth that they needed. They put a bulkhead out there and they backfilled it. We can't do that. So here we are with the pier proposal, trying to get the square footage that is needed to operate effectively and efficiently, and work within the constraints of that particular site. So I guess if you have any questions, like I said, most of the impacts per se to wetlands will be the open pile structure, so the piers will go over top of the wetlands.
You ready? The board,
Staff.
have anything you want to say, Olivia?
I will say our comprehensive plan has 5 objectives in terms of rural character and maritime heritage. And one of those objectives is to preserve and promote our maritime heritage, the watermen who continue it, and our waterfront recreational and service industries. They did take pains to keep the bulkhead out of the wetlands, so that is located, as Joey said, in the riparian area, and that's the only comment I have.
Bill?
No, ma'am.
Jay?
Initially, when we went down there and looked at it, the bulkhead was clearly above the mean high tide line on a non-vegetated shoreline, non-jurisdictional, doesn't need a permit from you guys. Open pile, private, residential, non-commercial piers are exempt under the code as well. There's past history where any commercial pier, even though the encroachment is just a shading encroachment, it's not a fill, where those piers, where those commercial piers cross wetlands, the Wetlands Board, in many cases, if not most, has taken jurisdiction over those and required a permit. It's an encroachment, it's not an impact necessarily. And with a lot of the controversy and the size of the project, I kind of went back and we talked with the county, and it's better to make sure that all the i's are dotted and t's are crossed. And I know this has been approved by the Planning Commission, it's been approved by the Board of Supervisors, it's in the comprehensive plan. But right now, we have a verbal protest by the Nelsons to the left upriver side of Harper's Creek. I don't have anything in writing from them. And it's going to need a hearing in front of the commission should they formally protest. And I just wanted to make sure, like with the Phillips and Barnes project, that everything is done according to the law, so that in the future, somebody can't come back and say that approval was flawed because it didn't take into consideration. So that's really why we're here today. We are still reviewing the VMRC part. Just want to make sure it got the required local wetland board approvals.
Anyone you board?
Yeah, I got a question for Jade. Do other counties make this distinguish between residential and commercial piers?
Yeah, I know Middlesex County requires a permit for other than the private, non-commercial. When you look in the code, and I didn't bring my book with me, but there's a list of exemptions in your ordinance, open pile footbridges, blah, 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 but it's private. It's all non-commercial, and once it goes commercial, even though the physical structure is the same, it's a use. So, the short, yeah, yes. Other counties,
So it's really not the impact, it's a economic designation? Like what makes me go commercial on my private dock?
what makes you go
Yeah,
commercial?
why would I, yeah,
If you were to start selling product,
sell a
if you were to
fish, sell
start
it?
renting your slip and getting commercial gain from your slip
Then it'd be commercial.
and your pier, we have traditionally, and I've been working with Nate on this, since the beginning, since before the beginning, I guess, along, like your comprehensive plan. In the rural areas of the Commonwealth of Virginia along the bay, we have traditionally not considered your backyard pier that you may leave and go catch fish on, come back, load in your pickup truck and take to market. That's still your private use, even though you're making commercial use of it. We have allowed that. Once you start landing other people's catch or conducting business across that dock, now it's commercial. So it's more of a use than an impact. But ostensibly, I guess you could argue that with boats coming and going several times a day, there's more activity. There's more indirect impacts associated with commercial use of a pier. But as with the green, if it's not a private riparian backyard pier, it's other. And everything other, we consider to be commercial.
So it's really not triggered on impact, environmental impact.
No, it is not.
Okay, thank you.
Do you guys have any questions for me?
That's what I was gonna ask if any other board members had anything they'd like to say.
Please open public comment.
As of this moment, there are no written objections.
Correct.
I'll wait for you to open public comment, let you open public comment, that's why I walked away.
The audience, is there anyone that has any comment on this application? If not? Okay, with no further comment, I will entertain a motion, please.
Yes, I'll move to approve as submitted.
Second.
All in favor? Okay, 5. Approve as submitted.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okey-doke. So good. Now, let me see here. Yeah. I need approval of the minutes, please.
Motion to approve the minutes of October 13th, 2022.
Second?
All in favor? Okay. Wait, Andy, he wasn't here, were you? So it's 4 to... Your-
One.
Well, yeah, 'cause he abstained, 4 to 1 abstained. Okay. Is there any further business?
Yes, Bruce had introduced a revised policy memorandum, memorandum number 57, which is our wetlands permit applications compliance checklist.
I'm sorry, Olivia, I couldn't hear you.
Sorry about that. Bruce had introduced a revised policy memorandum number 57 previously, in a previous meeting, and Don Gill has signed that. on December 7th, which was yesterday. So we'll be ready to start using that effective January 1st, 2023, and I'm going to send copies of that out to our agents.
We've been working on this for about a year and taking revisions as they were submitted by both staff and the board. And so Don had informed me that he could approve this. That would become effective January the 1st, 2023. The board's already approved this, I think, October meeting.
Correct.
So it's already been approved. And Olivia, I would also encourage you to send this out to contractors, consultants, anybody that's maybe done business with the board here over the last couple of years, to make sure that everybody knows what the game plan that revises our 25-year-old policy and brings it current with, and consistent in alignment with, Jay, the current Living Shoreline Code and everything. We tried to capture everything to an out-of-date policy, so appreciate that.
Thank you.
Okay. Oh, is there any further?
No, ma'am.
Anyone? No further business. I adjourn the meeting at 10:01. Huh?
It's a record. It's a record. It's a record. I will, and we didn't have to go to North County.
Somebody call Brian and say, ever since Bill and Olivia got here,
Have a nice Christmas.
yeah, you too. You take care of yourself. all
Okay.
right? I'll give Beth a
Okay.